I got to play F125 early once again, but this time, for the very first time, I actually got a taster of the F1 movie tie-in gameplay. So yesterday, EA, in conjunction with the F1 movie, held a little special event at the O2 here in London at the Virgin Media Gamepad, where they had not only the F1 movie car on display, which was pretty sick, I'll get to that in a bit, but they also had a playable exclusive version of F125. This was actually a playable version of F125 that was at the Miami Grand Prix just gone, where you saw quite a few celebrities, even Ninja, playing at the F125 game, and it was this version of it, a real tie-in with the F1 movie. This build is because they're trying to push in that conjunction, because we already knew that the APXGP car would be available in F125 to not only play in my team but also driver career mode and use both their drivers, Sonny and Joshua Pearce. You can play as them or against them as an additional team on the grid. That was already clear, but what we didn't know was how are these extra gameplay kind of, tie-in bits going to work? Well, now we have a little bit more of an inkling of how it's all going to pan out. So when F125 launches, everyone will get the opportunity to try out this first intro preview chapter for the F1 movie chapter scenarios, basically. And then eventually, after the F1 movie has come out later this summer in June, we'll then be getting a post-launch bit of DLC, effectively, which will be available if you have the iconic edition of F125. And I actually believe you can just go on to actually just get the DLC extra if you don't have the iconic edition. There'll be several racing chapters all across different race weekends at Monza, Zandvoort, Mexico, and Spa, and then ending at Abu Dhabi, all tying in to moments from the F1 movie, splicing cutscenes and clips taken from the movie with gameplay. But as for that intro preview chapter, I actually got to play it early at this event and try it out. It's set at Silverstone, and the background is it rolls you in with a cutscene from the film itself, where Sonny is at a private test trying to prove he still has the speed to kick it in Formula 1. It then rolls you seamlessly into that test moment where you drive as Sonny. You get 2 laps to get comfortable with the car, and it kind of was needed because this car does drive very uniquely, because as you may know, in real life, the way they filmed this movie is the Apex GP car is actually a Formula 2 car made to look a bit more like an F1 car. I mean, those of you who are in the know, you can tell straight away. It looks more like a Formula 2 car than F1, but to the casual viewer, they'll think it's an F1 car with the added additions they've done to the bodywork to kind of have those features of an F1 car. But underneath the skin, it's essentially a Formula 2 car. So in terms of the game, that also seemed a bit apparent. It wasn't totally F2 handling, but it also wasn't the F125 F1 car handling that I've tried out in my earlier plays at, EA and Codemasters HQ. It was just in a weird middle ground, basically, where there was a little bit more understeer, but then the grip levels midway through the corner were all right, like you would expect from an F1 car. So it was a very weird, unique experience. So it will be something different to you playing, my team or driver career mode or breaking point, for example. So I think there is going to be some difference there, and it won't just be samey in terms of the actual feeling of the car. And then, of course, the looks, the tie-in, I think work really, really well, because then the rest of the scenario is you're on this test track and your challenge is to set a lap, or you have to beat a certain lap time, which is changeable with the difficulty levels. And it appears that the same difficulty levels that are there in Breaking Point 3, where we know from the deep dives, etc., in my time playing it early, was there is an extra difficulty level, because they kind of heard people's feedback from Breaking Point 2 and 1 that the hardest level was still just not that hard for those of us who play the F1 games very, very regularly. So it seems like this preview chapter, and I'm assuming all the other chapters with all of this F1 movie gameplay, is going to be kind of the same architecture as Breaking Point 3, where you have that changeability of the difficulty. And in this case, with this scenario, it changed the lap time you're aiming for, and if you beat it and actually successfully complete this kind of mission in a way of this chapter, you then get rewarded with a secondary cutscene that rolls in to another clip from the movie. Obviously, I can't actually show you, like, actual clips of that because it's literally from a movie. And if you know how they are with copyright on movies, they will literally nuke this video and the channel. So I'm not going to risk it at all, but I can show you the gameplay from it at least. But all the chapters that will be getting post-launch will be just like that. But I actually got told as well at this event that just like in Breaking Point 3, so it really is actually following the same architecture as the story mode, you can pick each chapter scenario, you can pick to play as Sonny Hayes or Joshua Pearce. So you're going to get two different versions of this same event in terms of a different objective for Sonny, a different objective for Joshua Pearce, and might, involve, slightly different gameplay and where you are in the race weekend per se, because I'm assuming in the movie they're going to be in different places in the race, so that will end up being, oh, your objective's to climb up to top 5 or beat this person in P10. I don't know, we don't know anything about the future chapters right now, but that is the architecture of it. It's kind of following along, and you can clearly see they've taken some inspiration from how they've done the story mode to kind of give you some unique gameplay with the F1 movie, but we don't know what the actual content will be. But I think actually, from what I've played, it just was actually done quite well. There wasn't a lot of gameplay. I'm going to be real with you. Wasn't a lot. I kind of, got it all recorded and done within about 15 minutes, but in terms of the way it was done, it was only meant to be a preview. It was really, really nice. So if the chapters coming in post-launch are a little bit longer, I'm talking like, hopefully like a good, 15, 20 minutes of gameplay each. I think that's enough just to have something there, We're going to play F1 25 in 2 weeks' time. My team, whatever, story mode. And then eventually later at the end of June, we'll get these extra bits of content and just something else to play. And I'm sure, based on my experience of the intro chapter, that once you go and see the F1 movie, you're going to want to, dive into this kind of thing. It's going to make it cooler. It's the same way where, sometimes you watch a Grand Prix or whatever, that might make you want to play the F1 game. Other franchises, you might watch them, you want to play the game that they've got of it, essentially. So I think it's going to work in the same way to create that energy and that buzz. And I think in general, it's just going to be really interesting because this is obviously a first for Formula One itself to have a movie anyway, but a first for the game to tie in with a movie like that and have that extra content. Like, we've never really had something like that. Like, the F1 games have had DLC content with F2 later in the year always, but it's just you get the F2 grid. There's no actual extra menu options, UI, actual chapters or gameplay, whereas this almost feels like a traditional game where you have extra DLC story to kind of play. So in that kind of sense, coming from a mind of a single player person, I played plenty of DLC stories added on to other single player games. It's cool that F1 is going to have something like that just a little bit later on in June, like a good month after we've all been playing the game anyway. But that was it from that build. Like I said, very, very limited. The entire event was pretty cool though at the O2, having a look at the actual APXGP car. Like, it was legit one of the actual cars they filmed with. I believe it was one that they used at the Belgium Grand Prix at Spa, minus the engine on the inside of it, but it was the actual one that they used in filming, which was pretty damn cool to see in person. I gotta admit, actually, I wasn't sold on it at first, but it is actually a very tidy looking livery with the subtle detailing of the black with the matte and the gloss on the main part of the chassis, and then the tips of gold and stuff. But I'm going to talk about now the elephant in the room just for a little bit here at the end of this video. We just talked about this was an opportunity for me to play F1 25 early, but it was just a little bit. And you may have been wondering on the channel, where's any of this preview content? Usually there are 3 15-minute preview videos that all creators get to upload from some sort of preview. Well, you may be wondering, where are they? What's happening? We haven't got a preview build quite yet, and we are 2 weeks out from the game coming out on Friday, just on the Friday just gone, basically. So at this moment, I'm not too sure. There's still time for something to pop up, but I have not heard anything quite yet. So I'm going to wait and still give just a little bit of time to maybe ask some questions here in the background and see what's what before I then come on again and make a video and give my thoughts, because if there's not a preview build, that in itself is quite telling of things. But right now, I just want to inform you guys on video rather than just like a tweet or, I don't know, Instagram, whatever, because not all of you maybe follow me on those platforms, telling you here in the video that, yeah, if you're wondering where those videos are, we don't have a build to make those videos as it stands right now, so we're still waiting on something like that. And as soon as I hear something, or I'm going to try and get some confirmation of what's going on, I will then come back on and chat about it, because either way, that will be, you know, something to discuss basically as we lead into nearly F1 25 launch week, with my team career mode kicking off. As you guys know, that is going to be what we're doing straight off the bat, along with obviously playing through Breaking Point 3. But yeah, a bit of a short and sweet video today on this F1 25, extra little bit of gameplay. I mean, I could definitely tell from last week, you know, just coming on and talking about the driver ratings, that all of you guys, there's plenty of people that are hungry just for anything from this game, because we've not got a lot without a preview build. So I thought it was worthwhile just to show this F1 movie stuff, because like I said, I think especially for casual players will be actually quite interesting once they see the film. Probably will actually convert some people to actually buy the game and then play the game, and then that way there could be, you know, it could be a pipeline of them playing my team, etc. and whatnot. So I thought it was still worthwhile. Some people might want to see it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you are going to be checking out, if it sounds interesting to you, like all the F1 movie tie-in stuff. If you have enjoyed the video in general, then be sure to hit the like button, and I'll catch you guys around. Like I said, as soon as I can get some clarity, I will come back and let you guys know what's what. But till then, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.